So I've had some people asking me, how do you get the ball to go through 9, I think this year it's 10 rings. And the answer is you have to be really careful. I have the students do the calculations. With each ring stand, they put their calculations there, and I have another sheet with what the positions are, the direction, etc. I do cheat and use either a spreadsheet, or this year I'm messing around with a Desmos that will spit out the positions that it's supposed to be. One thing to know is I'm using a Vernier Photogate launcher. It's the most reliable one I've found, and it still varies a little bit. And the speed that it comes out at, I have the knob turned up to 11, and the max speed over, I don't know, 20 or 30 launches, the average speed was 5.61. So what we did as a class is we took data with it landing at the same height, and we measured the range. And we linearized the v0 squared over g sine 2 theta equation, and we come up with a speed that's more like 5.48. The speed is decreasing somewhat. So the speed we actually went with this year was 5.495 meters per second. We went every 30 centimeters along the path, and the range we got was about 280 centimeters. I'm sorry, 380. As far as tips about how to set it up, one thing to do is if you mount this to a board, I use that to keep it square with the wall. I also attempted to have it line up with a line on the floor. That's what this is from. Ring stands. Now these are tight. These are only 7 centimeters across, so it's not that forgiving. But to help with the alignment, what I found is tie a string with a little weight for a plumb bob at the bottom, and that will help you line it up both against the wall and also the range direction. And these, I have the students work out the angle, but most of the time we just kind of do it by eye, what looks right. But I do have them calculate that from Vx and Vy at that point. I have never, in half a dozen years of doing this, gotten it to go through all of the rings the first time. There's a lot of metal clanking. And then what we do is we adjust it. Now, the best place to view the launch is from this direction, and kind of keep an eye and notice which one it hits. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll keep the back ones out of the way so that we can launch it through, see where it hits, and adjust it. It usually has to be adjusted this way, sometimes this way. Sometimes it's been hit, so it needs to be rotated this way. But go one at a time and keep increasing. It takes a little while. So this whole setup probably takes us, I don't know, 40 minutes to 80 minutes, depending on the year, of actually setting up, and probably 2 periods if we're doing the range equation to get the speed and then doing the math. So I probably spend 3 or 4 periods doing this in total with them, but we like to set it up for the parents for parent night. I have noticed that when you launch it, it actually matters who launches it and where you're looking. I think it's something about the way you push the button. I found that if I look at a particular ring and then I look at a different ring, it won't always launch the same way. So even having the same person at the same place launching makes a difference. The other thing is, if you really want to get carried away, you can do a slow motion of a ring and see where it's going through or where it's hitting, and then go to the next one, the next one, the next one. So if you have a student take a video, you can see. And this is one where it actually goes much faster when you have students around than when you're trying to do it by yourself, just because of the launch and being able to see. This year, something I did a little bit new is I happened to get these at $10 for at Target. I'm going to use them to store stuff, but they were also pretty convenient to put a board across and some books to get the right height. Well, they have to be a little bit careful to overload it. I would launch it for you, but it's a little too difficult to film and launch at the same time. But the best view for aligning is actually this way. So when you're doing your test launches, you want to launch and be looking this way, and you tend to keep an eye on which one you know it's going to hit. Sometimes I'll actually put, when I'm not sure which one it hit, like a little milk cap or something on here, and if it hits it, it'll usually fall over or at least be rattling. But it works pretty well. You're never going to get 100% of launches, but if you do a really nice job, you can get it to go through about 80% of the time, which is still pretty impressive. So yeah, that's how we set it up.